Hello, everyone. Welcome to Geekout interview. We're going to interview the creator of Questline VTT. Um, I know there's not. I'm excited for this one because we showed this off a few days ago through a random stream with DM Tales. Um, and I really like this VTT. I think it's simple, quick, and easy comparatively to something like Foundry. But there's some benefits. So let's bring him on and see what we can find out about future, where it's going and stuff like that, because that's what I want to know. But we'll ask him other things too. All right. Welcome in, Elric. How are you doing today?
Doing just
Or
wonderful.
night. I guess it's
Yeah,
night. It's not
it is
day.
nighttime, I think, for both of us.
Oh,
It is.
you're muted. Why am I not hearing you now?
Can you hear me? Hello?
Uh,
Hello?
we were fine 2 seconds ago.
We were fine.
Oh, I know why I'm not hearing you.
Hello?
I had my thing muted on the screen because we were listening to the start streaming and I don't want to listen to it anymore. Hey, Neil, welcome in.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome in, Lord Alfric. So I always start with this. Yeah, you hear him on the stream. It was my fault. What How did you get into gaming? Because that's
That's a.
really where it starts, right?
It really does, and it's a great question to start off with. I started playing D&D when I was about 10 years old. My dad, so I was a military brat, and I grew up overseas, and I was down in Brazil when I was a kid. And obviously, there's not a lot to do when you're a kind of an embassy kid and you don't really understand, the outside world. And my dad had picked up the original box set of Dungeons and Dragons, and it became kind of a family thing that we all did. And my sister and my mother weren't too big into it, but my brother and I took to it, and we have played ever since. And it has been one of the longest things I've loved for so long. My brother has tattoos up his arm, like he's got literally a mind flayer and a
Don't know what that
minotaur.
means.
Yeah, he's got dice and so it's a big it's been a big thing for us. And as I got older, all my friends played when I was younger. When I moved back to the States and I was living in California, and we would just play, and we would all gather around and play for however long. And being 12, 13 years old, you were dumb and you didn't know any better. You're trying to read the books and you're trying to play, but you just wanted to roll dice and make characters and fight things.
I've told this story many times on the channel, but my introduction was a four day binge where we just went straight from Friday all the way till Monday evening, just playing.
Yeah.
That was my first game. It was crazy. But um, so what made you decide to do a VTT? There's so many other VTTs. What made you decide to do one?
So that falls into a number of really interesting, things that happened throughout my life, right? So I joined the military myself. I was a U.S. Marine, and I used to play D&D in the Corps with me and my friends, and that's actually what got me into LARPing, and and I would do that, all that kind of stuff. And for the longest time, one of my closest friends, he and I would always talk about wanting to run a game studio. And we had always talked, and we still do to this day. We've been friends for 30 years, and we would think about different things that we always wanted to do, but it was always usually related to tabletop RPGs in some way. Whether it was like LARPing or role playing games. That was always a prime element. And because we live so far away from each other, I was always trying to find some sort of tool or something that could help me be able to play D&D with one of my closest friends from across the world. And it led me into the original findings of map tools. Um, and Fantasy Grounds were the first two that ever came out, and I loved map tools, and I used it, and I completely modded the crap out of it, and really wanted to do something similar, but it was really hard to use. And I remember setting it up and doing all these
Yes.
things, and being a software engineer myself, and I have the technical skills to be able to dig into all kinds of things and do this stuff, but most people don't. And it can get very frustrating for people to just try to play. And so I kind of gave that up and went back mostly to tabletop gaming in itself. But I'd always had in my mind that at some point I wanted to potentially tackle my own VTT. And what it really led to was, and I tried all of the other ones. I had used Roll20, and I had played with a bunch of the other, smaller pieces and the smaller tools back in the day. And there weren't that many. And when Roll20 came out, I started using that. But I quickly got frustrated with it because
Oh, yeah.
I was struggling to, get things to work, or, there was a lot of bugs, or the user interface is not really well designed. And I get it, but somebody had the same thought I did, well, I'll just build something on my own. And then Star Wars 5th edition rolled out. The guy that created Star Wars 5th edition had completely overhauled the 5th edition rule set for D&D and completely modded it to play Star Wars. And
Yep.
all of my gaming group were like, oh, this is really cool. Like, what a great job this guy did. But no VTT out there supported it. And this was before Foundry.
Mm-hmm.
And so as I looked at Roll20 and the options of Roll20, I was like, I don't really want to try on Roll20 because it's going to be a total nightmare to set up and get working properly. And so I asked my friends, I was like, hey, do you guys want to try playing this as a play-by-post game? And they're like, yeah, let's try doing that. So we did it on Discord, and then we started playing on Discord. And it was awful. it was so bad. I
uh,
spent so much time setting up like characters and trying to set up roles, and I was like, oh my god, I cannot keep doing this. I'm just eating hours out of my day to do this. Yeah, and Rage Mage knows exactly what he's talking about. Rage Mage was one of the guys who was playing in my game. And so we, as we started using, trying to use Discord, I really thought to myself in all the years that had gone by, and I was like, you know what? I've been a software developer, for 25 years. I can do so much better than what I see out here on the market. I truly can. I'm a good developer. I have a really good design sense. I have worked on user interfaces most of my career. I'm very good at, really trying to find the meat of what people are looking for when I'm designing a user experience. And it's what I did when I worked in the games industry too. I worked on user interfaces. So I said, let's do it. And just started writing, my first version of Questline. And it was clunky, and it was, I had a basic idea. I wanted a nice chat system because I wanted to play by post games. I also wanted to play Star Wars 5th edition. Nothing out there could do that. So I started building Questline around the idea of what I would call asynchronous play, right? So somebody could play at any point in time from any device, anywhere they want, and be able to see an update from whatever.
I do love that it works on mobile and
Yeah.
works on. I mean, it works. I mean, other VTTs have tried that and have failed. So
And that was a real piece of the pie for me. Was I had friends who wanted to play in a play by post style, but they're not at their laptops all day. And so I was specifically trying to build something that would work in a mobile environment, that would work really well in a mobile environment. And oftentimes it's very much overlooked because they're building a big tool that can do lots of things and a lot of shiny buttons. And uh, to me, in software design, it's always about reducing friction so that people can use a tool in a way that makes it, intuitive, and not just intuitive because, everybody says the word and it's kind of a catchphrase and a buzzword. Intuitive truly means like I should be able to pick this up and fiddling around with this within an hour. I should be fairly confident that I can, manipulate this. Um, so that led me into simplifying things, like really and truly being like, okay, if I can't get to something within like 3 clicks, 4 clicks, I should really be looking at how can I reduce that friction so that one, game masters have way less energy to spend because they're already doing 5,000 other things. So I want it to be simpler in that sense. I want players to be able to jump in and play without much friction. And the final piece was I had a goal when I started, when I was, setting up our first game and really trying to get something going. I remember thinking, you know what? I want to try to get my dad to play D&D with me online. And my dad could not use computers. He was a complete Luddite. And so I built something that I hoped he could use because it was simple enough that
Hmm.
as a user, I could tell him and teach him a couple of things and he would kind of understand it and be like, okay, I click this and it works.
Right.
I released Questline publicly in 2019, announced it to my friends, posted it on Facebook, say, hey, everybody, this is what I'm doing. I've been working on really, really hard on this. And my dad passed away the next day. And
Oh.
so it was kind of a brutal thing for me, and I didn't really know how to deal with it very well. And I remember really thinking, like, as I was building the VTT, over the previous year, was I want to be able to bridge the gap that people have when they move away from their friends. I have a ton of friends. I was, like I said, I was in the military. I've moved 25 times in my life. And um, it was difficult to be able to find gaming groups that were in my area that would really be able to be like, oh, here's this. And then I would find a group and then I would play. And then unfortunately, I'd move somewhere else and then I'd be 2 hours
Hmm.
away and I couldn't play with them. So again, VTT started becoming this thing to me that was a way to literally, generate a fold in space that I could play with all my friends, no matter where we are. But again, I still always went back to that same thing. I don't want a tool that takes the center of the attention. I don't want a fancy, tool that is like, ooh, look at the shinies. I want to be able to play my game, and I want the table to be the table,
Right.
whether it's virtual or not. And so that has been my driving goal with Questline for years, to just make it a table. It just happens to be digital.
Well, I definitely appreciate that you did not follow in Roll 20's token mechanic for um
Tokens should just be tokens. You should be able to pick them up and move them. Like,
Lord, sometimes Roll 20 frustrates me.
yeah,
But most people know, most people who watch this channel know I have problems with Roll 20 and I have problems with 5e.
yeah,
Um, and it's not really 5e. The system's fine. It's the company that owns 5e.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, there's all those problems too.
yeah.
It's
But
unfortunate.
so that's an amazing story of how Questline kind of started. Um, it is uh what was interesting was uh you I asked you to come on and then you started checking out the video of me and Wes
Hmm.
playing with it and you were like, wow, there's things that I need to make more intuitive. Um so I appreciate that you're willing to change things to make them more for easier to use. Not everyone is in programming. So
It's it's a thing in the years that I've been doing software engineering, oftentimes, the feedback loop that goes from a user to a developer is cut out by 200 middle managers. And I hate that. I've hated it my whole career. And I have never been afraid to simply talk to a user and say, what are you having a problem with? And they tell me, and then I'm like, huh, okay, let me try to make that better. What's the point of being a software engineer and building tools for people to use if I'm not listening to their direct feedback? I mean, there's no better way to build software than to talk to the people that use it. That's how my whole Discord server is. Tell
I
me
mean,
what you're having problems with.
I use a campaign manager where the programmer has the same
Mm,
mentality. It's called Scabbard, and
okay. Yeah.
he has the same mentality. He uses
Yeah.
Discord the same way you do. Um, which, by the way, you're super responsive on Discord. So if you ever have a question, oh, DM Tells has a question. Okay. I like the idea of the table being the table. Will it be possible to get barriers that the tokens can cross, even if dynamic lighting or token vision isn't in the pipe?
So, Wes, I can answer your question directly. Absolutely. It was funny that you were bringing that up, talking about dynamic vision and dynamic lighting and the walls, and it's been on my to do list for a long time. Obviously, it's always I work on this as a solo project. Like I have I have a somewhat pseudo side developer that helps me a little bit, fixing a couple of bugs here and there, but I can't really afford to hire a full time developer to work on this, as a thing. So this has been a passion project for me for close to 6 years now, um, and I am always trying to like find time to build in some of these really awesome features, dynamic vision, walls. Let me see some of the other big ones that I want. I want to have what I call an asset depot, which is it is going to be a marketplace, but the idea is so that people can share, content with each other. So a lot of it will be being able to share even just free content with each other. You'll be able to package up all kinds of stuff in your one specific game and share that with other people. So you could like build an SRD, share it with everybody else, and they can just import it in their game and everything
So
works.
I could build like an adventure for Ironbound and say, here's a
Yeah,
starter kit for
full starter
Ironbound.
kit. Yeah. Um, and then, and I have, uh, so I use a program called Codex, which is actually kind of a gamer's agile scrum board. And it's pretty amazing. It hooks directly into my Discord server. Like people can use a /feedback command /FB and type in a title, and it will like go onto my actual agile board, and I can go look at it. And it's pretty amazing because I can track things, I can talk to people through it, I can, there's all kinds
Oh,
of
that's
details.
cool.
It really makes it a simpler way for me to manage that stuff. And people ask me all the time, they're like, Elfric, can we see the board? I was like, yes, you can. It's a mess. As a solo developer, it's tough because I either choose to work on a feature or functionality, or I choose to, um,
Bugs.
or I go work on this or that or marketing or, and oftentimes I choose development over those things. And so, but I do try to give people previews often in my Discord server. I will put stuff in I have a channel called In Development, and so I'll post stuff in there, stuff that I'm working on. Um, but to go back to Wes's original question, walls. He said something during last week's interview that really kind of made me catch, it caught my ear really well, and something that I hadn't separated for a while. Walls, quite literally walls. I can build walls relatively straightforward and relatively easily. I already have some of the tooling there for, being able to draw lines, being able to draw points and all that kind of stuff because you do it with, the fog of
Measuring
war
and everything.
and the
Yep.
measuring and all that kind of stuff. So the tooling is mostly there to be able to lay down that stuff. A lot of it comes into the mechanics of saying, hey, you have a token, what do these walls actually represent? Can I go through geometry, that kind of stuff? Um, and so it just the way he said it last week made me move that idea on what I call my short list. So I have, a list of features, and everybody likes to joke about it on the Discord server. Like Elfric's list is this big, long, like style sheet of millions of things to do. And but I have something that I call the short list, and that's typically things that I actually plan on working on in the next like couple of weeks, next couple of months, and that's like kind of the stuff that I'm focusing towards. I've been slowly working towards the asset depot. Like I've added things like being able to import and export, characters and items and actions. Like there's a whole import export system so that you can share data with each other already. It's just that there's no package for it. Um, and it has led me into I've started diving into being able to import and export maps, right? Importing and export a map is a huge thing because it has all the tokens, all of the objects on the map, all of the features and all the details. Okay, if you have a character on the map, that means I have to, include the character as part of the upload. Well, do they have images as part of that? So I got to include the images. Do they? So there's a lot of like pieces that I want to really work on, but I've been slowly working my way to be able to share those kind of things. And an easy kind of like goal could be to add things like walls to prevent tokens from moving off the map, to prevent tokens from moving down hallways they can't move down. And it really kind of made me think like, oh, that could be really cool and a really kind of not easy win, but like a really accomplishable task in a shorter period of time.
Well, that would be good. It was the one thing that both Wes and I were like, we we want to prevent the player from going to certain spots.
Yeah.
Um, because the Thursday night game that I play and that Wes DMs and I play on, we do have people who would just go "Whit" into a spot and then go, "Where's my token?"
Yeah.
So um, you did say something interesting that got me thinking. Um, we also mentioned universal map import
Hmm.
works. Are you looking into that at all?
That's something that's been on my list for a while. I'd love to
Okay,
do it. I don't know when I'll get to it, but it's on my list.
because it
Because
would be wonderful to get dungeon draft stuff into it.
exactly that's exactly one of the things I use Dungeon Draft myself in the past, and to be able to use that would be really helpful.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tools that I'd love to be able to include things like let me see what's a good one like the Genesis system. They have a website where you can have characters and the whole monster
Hmm.
stat blocks and stuff like that. Importers. I have inside of the character sheets you can import like a D&D stat block, a D&D Beyond character. You can also even import Shadow Dark stat block, and each one of those take actually quite a bit because I'm parsing a
Right.
string and I'm actually like breaking things down into a string and parsing through it because everything's supposed to be in the same format. That's a total lie.
Yeah. Totally.
But it's a goal of mine to be able to build importers for all kinds of like external tools, to make it a lot easier. And it's I just hope that I can get there with, hopefully as I gain more um, people, right? As I gain
Hmm.
subscribers to be able to have people join, it gives me more funding that I can actually, I put a lot of
Right.
the funding right back into Questline. And so, like, I've actually been able to hire a freelance developer to do a little work for me to start to help with that because I just can't do it all.
Right.
Um,
It's a lot.
and and I do have like an artist that I hire too that does all the like the token frames and
Nice.
something else I'll show you here in a little bit, a little preview of the latest feature I'm working on.
Cool. Um, yes, you are able to import music into the VTT. That I did not show that off because I don't usually use music in my games.
The the music system's actually
Really good.
it's a feature of Questline that I'm actually really proud of.
Oh
It's
no,
it's
it's amazing.
there is a piece in there that a lot of people don't see, and that is what I call audio synchronization. Every single soundtrack that you play plays at the exact same time frame on everybody's device at the same time. And that is a thing that if you play other VTTs, when you're playing a sound, somebody might be hearing like music at the beginning of the track, and somebody might be hearing music at the end of the track. And I always felt that that actually ruins a potential moment, because when a music has like swells or like
Mhm.
really cool ambient sounds, and one person hears it and the other group and the rest of the group don't, it it's literally like it pulls you from the immersion. And so I wanted to build a tool that made it so that the synchronization was a part of it. And I think it's a cool feature. That's a pretty hidden feature. Um,
That is a cool
and
feature.
it is it when I run my Star Wars game, my group is generally a bunch of Mandalorians, right? They're all bounty
Mhm.
hunters, and so we play the Mandalorian soundtrack at the beginning to kind of get ourselves in the mood, but we all hear it at the same moment. And so like I do my intros typically while it's playing. After the first, 30 seconds or
Mhm.
so, I'll start actually doing the intro, and everybody, kind of really enjoys being brought in, and it's very immersive.
Yeah, I mean, that would be really helpful for me because the only time I really use audio is when I have like a big monologue for a character. I'll have like AI do a voice to modify it to be different and
Voice
then
mod's great.
record it. Um, and then I would record it and then I'll play it instead of actually reading it because if I read it, I'm just gonna mess up. Um,
I've done the same.
um, all right. Thanks for stopping by, DM Tales.
Bye, DM.
Um, We love your oh, they love your games, your character.
I love running the Star Wars game. It's we've been playing it for about 7 years at this point, um, and
That's awesome.
it's been pretty great. It's a lot of fun to do.
So, speaking of which, what is your what is the most proudest thing that you have put into Questline so far?
The game type editor.
Oh my god,
Um,
so awesome.
the it's a again, it's like a hidden feature that's not really hidden. It is the most powerful thing about Questline. And eventually, when I get the dice bag editor fully functional and being able to do that, people will be able to just mix and match whatever game system they want, and or dice or mechanics or whatever they want, and it'll just be a WYSIWYG tool. What you see is what you get. And as time goes on, it's more for the more advanced group, right? You do have to fiddle around with settings and that kind of thing. There's no way to get around that. um, but as time goes on, the game type editor will become simpler, like in terms of like use. You'll be able to drag components around the screen or the page. You'll be able to change things, and it'll be another thing I'm going to show you tonight, some of the stuff that I'm working on. But it's
I mean,
there's a ton of
honest
features in there.
honestly, I built a uh player UI real quick.
Yeah.
Like it didn't take me any time to figure it out.
Yeah, it's I think that is probably my favorite part about it. And the reason why I did it was because I like to play lots of different games myself. And I was like, I don't want to be limited on the VTT to be like, oh, do they have this mod? Just go build your own character sheets and do it yourself. Like,
Let's just put it this way, it's a lot quicker than spending 300 hours writing your own Foundry mod system.
I get it. Like, I the fun there's a funny story there. So Foundry came out a month after Questline did. I released it to the public, and I saw Foundry hit the market, and I quite literally laughed to myself, and I was like, "Oh man, Foundry's going to kill it!" Like, and it wasn't because Easy D6 it will be there. I promise, Starhat. Um, it's on my list, but when Foundry came out, I immediately knew people were going to fall onto the idea of being able to mod the tool and being able to do all those things, because moddable tools are very, you know, tinkery, and people really
Right.
enjoy that. Um, I don't want that. I don't
Oh
want.
no, I don't want.
And it was a thing that I made an active choice. It's not that I don't want people to be able to tinker with things. It's that I don't want people to have to do slash roll. It's the thing, I don't want people to have to write code. I don't like, that's why I do what I do, because I love to code, and most people don't. Like 99% of the world does not like to code. And I
Yeah,
want it in a way that makes it so that people feel like they can just quickly do something.
Also, your dice are so fast.
Uh, I've spent a lot of time tinkering and like
So
fine
fast.
tuning a lot of different things because I think again performance. And I want this to be able to run on a potato, right? So I have an old uh, Android device that I use to test on every once in a while, and it still runs Questline really well.
You
Um,
know how useful that is, having something that runs on pretty much anything?
yeah,
Because the problem number one problem I have with live streams with Foundry is that inevitably somebody has trouble getting Foundry to load up correctly.
yeah,
Um,
it's really difficult. And one of the saving graces that I think Questline actually has, above a lot of them, is 99% of the time, if you have a problem with Questline, just refresh the page and you'll probably be fine.
right.
Um, and there are bugs. I'm a solo developer. I can't fix everything. I try, but it is quite difficult to manage all those
I mean,
things.
bugs happen. Um, I mean, Wes and I found a bug.
I saw that the
We
whole
don't even know what
dice.
caused it.
I still don't know what happened with him, and I was trying to figure it out myself. I was like, how did he get into a state where his dice just would not show up again? The only thing I could suggest to Wes when he decides that he's going to listen to this again and finish this, try clearing the cache on your browser and see if that works.
Yeah, that was something I was gonna have him do, but I was busy. We could.
Not on the whole browser, just on the Questline website. Don't have to clear the cache on the whole browser.
Oh man, they couldn't. Okay, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where Foundry is just so demanding on the computer.
Yeah,
So it's nice to have something that's customizable, as customizable as Questline is.
yeah.
That's really light on on the browser.
People ask me this, at the con all the time. They're like, hey, how's it better than Foundry? How's it better than Roll20? How's it better than Owlbear? Like, it's a very common question, and I am a, I have a very strong opinion of not detracting from other people's hard work. Foundry is a great tool.
They're great tools.
Roll
Yep.
20 is the market share of the entire industry. Owlbear is a fantastic tool. Like, it's simple and easy, and it does exactly what it's meant to do. Uh, if you want automation, Fantasy Grounds is great for tons and tons of automation.
Yep.
Um, what when people ask me the question, how's it? Oftentimes, the most popular question is, "How's it better than Foundry?" Questline has no hidden costs. It's $5 a month for the game master, and everyone else is free. And so often, people don't realize that when they set up a Foundry server, they now have to host it. They have to buy mods. They're going to probably have to subscribe to somebody's Patreon. They're going to have to subscribe to probably something else. Now they're going to have to manage and maintain the Foundry system that they're running on their machine. And if they don't want to do that, they now have to buy hosting services in some cloud provider that is going to be like $15 a month. That you will find no better deal for the amount of tools and the amount of things that you have at your fingertips with Questline, hands down.
I mean,
Um,
there's things on here that you have to have mods for Foundry,
yeah,
like the progress bars that you have. I don't remember what you call them. I think you call
the
them
trackers. Yeah,
yeah. Um, and like there's just things. The treasure. I love the treasure idea.
yeah.
Being
It
able,
needs it needs some improvement. It's an old feature, and I definitely want to make it better.
it's still it's it. When I found that, I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
Um, because giving people items is the hardest thing to do.
it is. Well, that was the thing. Asynchronous play on Play by Post. I was like, how do I give people treasure when I'm like without being like, here's this and that, like, and add it. The idea of the treasure button came into my head and was like, just make it so they can click some buttons and accept what they want, like, and a party loot distribution system. And I thought it worked out really well. And
It's the best one I've seen. Um,
I've
oh,
heard that, Squirrel, that they don't even have the 3D dice, and I get it. Like, 3D dice can really complicate things, but I always thought 3D dice were a really, again, it's to me, it's like the table. Like, I really
it
want the table to be
feels like
there.
you're rolling. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a point. One of the ultimate goals that I have is to have that visceral feeling that you get when you actually roll physical dice. It's a real thing that I think is a testament to any tabletop game. Um, is when people don't have access to like visceral tools, oftentimes they lose interest and they get lost in kind of like, again, the shiny stuff. And so I want to try to build a thing that makes that feel like you're really, again, playing at a table. So thanks, Star Hat.
Um, the encounter system is interesting. Um, it took me a while to figure out how to use it.
When I was watching your video, it was so the encounter system is actually one of the oldest systems in Questline, and it's been on my to do list for a while to do an overhaul. Um, and the first item is that the whole menu item, right? The encounter, you bring up the encounter, you add the encounter, you give it a name. And then I used to have it so that the tokens down at the bottom, that still technically works. You would add creatures to your encounter and you would actually type markdown inside of the notes and you'd create like a full encounter. And like I could write up an encounter there.
Right.
And in the bottom, you can actually drag those tokens to your map, and it will drag if you like stack them. So I say I have 5 goblins, I'll add
Oh,
5 goblins. I can drag that whole stack and it'll drop 5 goblins on the map for me.
oh, cool. I didn't realize that.
It is a cool tool, but it was to me really underdeveloped, and it uses the old menu system that I used to have. And again, it's the oldest menu in the entire system. And when I revamp it, I'm just going to bring it down to right next where the treasure button is, and you'll be able to go in there and you'll be able to switch through your encounters that way, and you'll be able to trigger it to be linked. You'll be able to link a journal to it, and then inside the journal you'll have all the same functionality that you have via the existing encounter system. You'll be able to have, all the tokens and all the things right there, and you'll be able to drag them right onto the map from a journal, and quickly be able to set up a map if that's what you're kind of doing.
All right. This all sounds really. I'm interested to see where this goes. Um, I'm definitely going to stay a subscriber. I don't know if my current adventures are going to get switched over to it,
I can
but
understand that.
any newer adventures might get switched to it.
Yeah.
So, um, it's just one of those. I've already built out all the adventure in Foundry. I can't
Yeah.
imagine having to go through and redo it.
That the whole
Um,
idea of like being able to do an import too from like Foundry or Roll20 has been on my mind. How do I get people to say, "Hey, I have a whole Foundry setup"? Well, just import it right into Questline. It would be awesome if I could get something to do that.
I bet you could get Foundry to do that because they just use a JSON for their
They
adventure
do.
tokens.
And most of it's pretty readable and easy to do, and then I could just do an import, and find a way to do that. And Rage
Sorry.
Mage is talking about he used to use the encounter feature, and he'd have like 10 tokens in the list, and he'd drag one and he would drag another and drag another. Instead, it would create 50 tokens.
Oh God.
And so he went to open his map and he's like, why is everything so messed up? I was like, well, you just dragged 50 tokens onto your map. I don't know what to tell you.
um. All right. So, is there anything that you want people to know about Questline?
Questline is easy. Um,
Yeah, it is.
it is it is a lot less scary, um, to be able to use a tool that gives you all the things right out of the gate. That's the other thing. It's an all-in-one tool, right? There's no modules. There's no like you don't have to worry about what version it is. You'll always be on the latest version. You'll always and if you don't see the latest version, you hit Control F5 and refresh your page, and it will load the latest version. The it, it, the hosting is on me. Like you guys don't have to host anything. There's no hidden time or sunk cost. There is it's very cheap. Um, I don't think you can get a better deal out there unless somebody decides they want to give it to you for free. Like, I hate subscriptions. I wish I didn't have to use a subscription, but it's the only model that makes any sense for a long-term project like this, where I
Oh
want
yeah.
to I want to turn this into a full-time thing where I can just work on Questline full-time.
Um, yeah, there's
Um,
no way, like, you have to do subscriptions for this
yeah.
type of.
Um, but if you don't see a game, come talk to me in Discord. I'll help you build a dice bag. Go make some character sheets. Like
I mean,
go build
you
something.
I sent you my system, and you built me a dice bag that works exactly the way I need it to work within minutes.
Oftentimes I have dice mechanics that I've used in previous games that will, simply translate to another game. As I've built more and more pieces, it's easier for me to just say, oh, I've done that for this game, and I can kind of mimic this. And I actually have tools inside the dice bag system that allow me to just kind of add different options to dice bags. And so with yours, it was very easy for me to say to use what I call like the advantage with the stackable advantage system. And so it was easy for me to, oh, he's kind of doing it in this format. So I threw it together, and it took me, 15, 20 minutes. And there you go. You had the ability to be able to use, the dice bag for your system.
Yeah, it was
Um,
great.
and then there's custom stuff that people want in their games, and then I take a little time to build a little tool or little, it's essentially me modding my own system, but I build it in a way so that it becomes an option that becomes available to everyone.
Right.
So then in the future I can then, okay, well, this person did it this way, okay, there you go, I can just kind of throw that together. And so the dice bag editor, when it becomes a full thing, it'll be easy for me to be able to say, you can build your own dice bags. Here's some example other dice bags. You want something that works similar to D&D 5e? Want something that's like Dragonbane? Something that's like Land of Eam? There's so many different systems out there that have different mechanics.
What about
Um,
card-based stuff?
it's on my to-do list. That the deck system is a short list item for me.
Okay.
So I have a full plan to build an entire deck collection system. So you're going to be able to build collections of cards. You're going to be able to build decks of cards. You're going to be able to drop a deck of cards to your table, and you'll be able to use it. I'm going to build another encounter system, another encounter type called draw, and it'll allow you to draw cards from a deck, similar like Savage Worlds, and I think Easy D6 uses that.
Ironbound? No,
Uh,
Ironbound does. Easy D6
Ironbound
also.
does. So like there's a bunch of different systems that have been using cards as a way to kind of do that. Not only that, but games like Daggerheart use a lot of cards as a visual cue. And so I
Mhm.
want to be able to give like, here's a deck, here's your deck, here's your domain deck, and you can just have it, and you can have it on your board, and you can, open them up and read them, and just to kind of give you that visual sense. Again, it's the table. And
Yep.
just having those tools on the table so that you can easily get to them, just makes it a little easier. That's
Awesome.
so
Well, do you wanna show us something,
I
or do you.
do. Let
Okay.
me, I'm going to show you a feature. I'm going to switch over my camera.
I'm gonna switch over to a bigger thing that has my current screen, but I'm gonna switch it to you. So bear with me here.
Sure.
Camera 2, we're just gonna replace. Nope. Well, that wasn't going to work as well as I thought, but that's all right. We'll do it the hard way.
Oh, just delete it and move it.
That's the easy way. That's the hard way.
That's perfect. You just deleted you.
All right.
All right.
I just want to make sure it's big enough so people can see it. That's all.
So, what I've been working on, since the very beginning of Questline, I have always wanted to build custom character sheets in a way that really kind of makes the character sheets feel unique.
Different. Yeah.
Yeah, when I play Star Wars, I want to feel like I'm playing Star Wars. When I play D&D, I want to feel like I'm playing D&D. If I play Cyberpunk, I want to feel like I'm playing Cyberpunk. So, uh, you'll have to excuse the mess. This is my dev server. This is my local setup. So you'll even see things like I have debug text and stuff that
Yeah.
I have up on the screen. So just ignore that stuff. Now, inside the game type editor, I had always wanted to be able to mimic, various character sheets, and it was something that DM Tales had said as well. Like, you guys were talking about PDFs, right? And
Yep.
and in Roll20, the character sheets, how you don't like the character sheets and how difficult they are to kind of set up. And I really, when I built the idea of the slimline character sheet, there's a very specific reason why it's defaulted to slim, because it is mobile friendly. End of story. I can pull up my character sheet on any device and it works. And that's the best thing. I have intentions to make the character sheet system a little more expansive so that you'll actually have different sizes. So I can have my slim, and then I'll be able to have a medium size and a large size. So depending on your player's preference, how they view their sheet, it will just rearrange things on the page for them.
Nice.
That's a long term goal.
Hmm.
But so what I've been working on is a theme system. And so Questline now has the ability to quite literally take a sheet, and I can tell it to have a border style and a background for the whole sheet. And it lets me now add theming for, I'm going to start off with fantasy and sci-fi, the easiest ones to kind
Most
of nail
common
out of the
ones.
park. And you'll see this is the new D&D 5th edition character sheet. And it's completely like overhauled. It's much simpler to read. The theming, I think, is gorgeous. My artist knocked it out of the park. And when you look at it, like when you look at the game type editor and you see this, you're like, oh, okay, this is just a basic character sheet. And it's pretty funny when you look at this. This is the entirety of a D&D 5th edition character sheet, except you can have almost everything you need in here. The only thing that you don't really do is like specific spells, which you can get away with by just adding them as features or actions.
Hmm.
But you'll see that this border styles, I have a bunch of different panel styles. And you'll be able to pick this. You'll be able to set some various things for, padding and stuff like that. But you'll also be able to set the fonts for sheets. And so what the end result is, I'll go take a look at the NPC sheet. It looks a little different. And then I can even, now when I open my character sheet in D&D, I'll open up Rord's character sheet. This is Whiteheart. He was the guy that was at the Comic-Con with me. This is his character. And you'll see how, in my opinion, how good this looks just with some simple theming. Like how much the simple change adds so much when you want to go take a
Does.
look at the original version. If I were to go to a different game and pull up, let's see here, let's pick one that I haven't changed, maybe Call of Cthulhu. And I go open up this character sheet. The sheets look really good by themselves. This was the idea I always wanted, was just the ability to, have a simple sheet that works really well, that has a ton of data, it's easy to, move and manipulate. And you'll see how this is set up. But then simply going in, me coming to here, and I'll eventually add some sort of like Call of Cthulhu or Victorian style. But I can come to the sheet, go to the player, change the border style, and I could even say like, I'm just going to do fantasy plane and change, and bam, my whole sheet
Nice.
updates. So this is a feature I've wanted to show off to people for so long, and I'm so excited to get it to people because I think that they're going to be able to start to theme their games the way they want to. A lot of people love like JRPG games and like Fabula Ultima and the Land of
Hmm.
Eam and stuff like that.
Yep.
Being able to theme those things, and even Fallout. Oh, I'm so excited when I get a Wasteland theme and be able to make those sheets look like Fallout. It's going to be
Hmm.
super cool. But this is the kind of stuff that I've always wanted Questline to have, this simplicity where I can change something on the fly. And even more so, I would love to be able to make this as a player option. So the player could be like, I want to change my own sheet at some point and, make my sheet mine. So this is just, again, one of those things that I really am excited to put out for people. And I can show off show off a Star Wars because that one looks pretty good. You'll see games in here too that I've kind of worked on a little bit. Um, Other games that aren't available. Let me see. Where was Tales of the Loop? Is that what it's called? Yeah, Tales from the Loop. Like I had started work on this a while back. Salvage Union. Like there's a bunch of games that I would love
Mhm.
to add. I'm always trying to find different ones like Iron Sworn, GURPS. This was a
Yep.
game I played a lot of when I was younger. Um, so there's a lot of different systems. Um, let's see here. So I'll go to the Star Wars game. By the way, you can also do really cool scenes like this. I always found this really fun to do for like a Star Wars game. I can make the Imperial Destroyer, put it right there, and put the ship on there. But this is the theme for Star Wars. I don't think I changed the background. That's the best part. I'll go change that. Come right into here, and you'll see like how it looks. Looks
Oh wow.
quite a bit different, but it has just enough to make you feel like you're customizing it for
For that
that
game.
game. And just these little kind of things. And when you start mixing and matching these things with your game system, you can go into your journal and you can come in here and you have themes for the journals. And this is something I'm gonna continue to expand too, is the journal themes and adding different styles. And I have the different ones here, which is like cyberpunk and cyberpunk red and all kinds of stuff, wasteland. And this is even stuff that players, users could come to if they have the technical acumen. They could talk to me and be like, hey, I want to add a theme, tell me what you want. And if you do a bunch of the work, I'll be happy to throw it in and do that stuff. So that is the new feature I'm excited for. I'm
It's a cool feature.
probably about 3/4 the way through, and we'll hopefully have it out in the next couple of weeks. And then people can play around with it and make their games however they want to make their games.
That's awesome. All right, quick question because I was trying to do this. Is there a way of doing a pool value without doing health?
A pool
And-
value without doing health. So the hit points component is a
Yep.
misnomer. It
Okay.
should really be called pool component.
Okay. So I guess the only thing that we ran into was when you hit the plus or minus, it
Yes.
pops up a number pad for you to
Hmm.
enter. Um, is there a way of getting like a quick button, like add one, add two?
So there's
Add,
a yeah. So it's I remember listening to what you guys were talking about, and there are specific reasons why the number pad pops up. Right, it's for
uh-huh.
mobile devices, so
Right.
people using a mobile device can do it. However, it's a really good option for you to have. It would be a really nice thing to be able to come into the game type editor and simply say, there is kind of a way you can do it now if you use the pip system, right?
Okay. Right.
If like for Ironbound, what would you consider like the max hit
So
points for a character?
see, that's the thing. The hit points isn't really that way. It's the pool points, and the pool points, max pool points can go from up. I A level 10 character can have almost 16 or 17 pool
Oh, see,
points.
that's perfect. So let me show an example. Let me see if I can find one quickly.
Because
I
that
guess
was the only thing I
Daggerheart.
had trouble making.
So in Daggerheart, they have hit points as a they only have like up to like 12 hit points
Right.
or so. Like that's the kind of the maximum that shows up on the character sheet. They might be able to have more than that. But the reality is like let's say you want to do yours, right? 16. That's what it shows up as.
Okay.
And with you can turn off these buttons if you want to. Um,
Okay.
but I can literally just do this. I can just click on the pip and go to where I want it to go.
All right. So the pip is what I should be looking
So
at.
that's
Okay.
probably what you're looking for like quick, like bam, bam. That's all I got to do. And if you take 2 points of damage, you just bam, you know. Well, and Daggerheart, you go backwards. Um, you
Yeah, we
add
go back.
hit
You
points.
would, yeah, you go backwards in mine though. Yeah,
Yeah, so
that
there's
makes sense.
the hit point system allows you to do what's called either the basic system, or what's called threshold. And threshold is the inverse of the basic. So typically, and the reason why that exists is because of the Genesis game system.
Game,
So
right?
if you're in, I'll do fantasy, Edge of the Empire, they have a wounds system, and when you actually take wounds, you're adding to that, and you have a threshold, and if you go over that threshold, that's how this whole system kind of is. So it's just the inverse of the current of what standard D&D is, which is you have 400 hit points and you go all the way to 0 and then you're dead. And this is the reverse of that. It just goes up until you breach a threshold. And in this case, like in this system, you can actually go over your threshold. So if I were to add 12, it goes above my threshold, and it will actually show me on here that I'm +7 over my threshold. So it actually does do that kind of mechanic for you, so you can see it relatively easily.
Oh, cool. Peter's out of nowhere now. Yeah, that's probably the case. Um, Tales of Elsewhere. This would actually be a good system for Tales of VTT for Tales of Elsewhere. Maybe we should let Peter know. Right.
And
Uh,
it was at the Comic Con. We talked with I talked with a number of people, and the Palladium people had their booth right next to me, and I played a ton of Rifts and Heroes Unlimited and
oh
Teenage
yeah.
Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like when I was growing up, those were the games I played a ton of. And it's been a long time item that I've wanted to add the Palladium games, but I also got a really awesome opportunity to talk to the guys who created Neon Lords of the Toxic Wasteland.
Yes, they're great guys.
They're great, and I love the system. It's so funny and so fun. And we spoke at length about the system, and it was funny because I caught their system like 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, just like through a Reddit thread. And I remember seeing it and being like, "Wow, man, this is super cool." And I threw character sheets together just because I could.
Right.
And what after talking to them, they asked if I could do work for them and make it more accessible. And I can show off something fun here. Here we go. This is the best part. I'm going to drag an image right to my map. Right here, these are the new token frames I had made
Oh,
specifically for
awesome.
Neon Lords.
Totally fits their vibe.
Yeah. And once again, my artist, she knocks it out of the park. It's just amazing work. Um, and So these will be added. Again, these are all free for people. Like I am committed to trying to add at least one token frame every month and a half or so. Like I want, and this is maybe another hidden feature that a lot of people don't see, is that in your character sheets, hang on, let me close that because I will invariably move the map. Um, the frame system, like this. I hated making token frames.
Oh,
I hated it so much. Playing on Discord, this one feature was because I hated making frames for Discord, so that I could make little tokens so that they would look cool. So I built this system to where people can literally change their frame. They can change the marker. Ah, did somebody say wounds? um, but they can change the effects. They can do all this stuff, and all these things are free. Like this is just
no, I
available to
saw
everybody.
it. It was
Like,
awesome.
and I
You can
love
scale
this.
it a little bit. It's just
Yeah.
it's a good system.
So
It's
that right there, being able to customize your token like very easily, that was a big thing for me because I think it's again these little tiny details that let people kind of like theme their character or build their system or build their thing their way. And it's more important to me than anything. I.
that. players can upload their own image. You know how much
It
of a pain that is?
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like just being able to come into here, go into your settings, and a player can just drag their image right to the borderless token and anything they want, or they could even just use their own character image here and then put a frame around it.
Oh
Super
my
duper
lord.
easy.
How many times I have to ask somebody to upload, give me the file, I have to then download it, then I have
Yep.
to ugh,
Nope. Let players do that stuff for themselves. They have access to the asset gallery. They can upload their own images. Like
that's awesome.
I think it's important that players have the ability to do that. Um, that I really think that it's probably an underutilized thing that players don't really recognize. But being able to go into your character sheet, like, and you'll see it in some of my test games here. Um, Being able to look at my actions here, they have their own little images, like,
Right.
and so being able to use that. And there's a long standing bug that these don't show up until you actually type something into the chat. Um, and one of these days I'll fix it. But you'll see, like, I have my hotbar down here of all a bunch of the common actions that I could potentially use, and this again is one of the things that players have access to that make it. This is just a feature right out of the box for Questline. Here, I want to roll my longbow, kapow! Like that's it.
Oh, I didn't even know about the hotbar.
Yeah. So if you have an action on a character sheet, let me see if I can find one. Let's go to Dalzane here. Maybe he's got nope. Well, maybe Blessed Strikes. We'll do that one. So you come to your action right over here, and you can just drag it, and you'll see the little plus button. You drop it right there, and then from there, I can now roll that.
You
And
roll that.
whatever character I have selected down here. So this is your active character, and
Mhm.
so if I rolled this, I would be rolling this um, as Dalzane
Right.
because I dragged it from his character sheet.
Right.
If I have an action that is in here and I roll it, it will roll it as my active character. So,
Okay.
the hotbar remembers who the character context was and will roll as that character. So if you had multiple characters, it would remember that. So like if you have you're a ranger and you have an animal companion, that kind of deal. Like it gives you the ability to kind of set up your hotbar.
Oh, I wish you could set up. Can you set up players hotbars for them?
No, but you can set up their actions for them, and then they can drag
Yeah.
their to their hotbar.
All right.
That could be really
Yeah.
useful, though. That might be an interesting feature
I
to
mean,
add.
because I have some players who would not know how to
Luddites.
drag and drop.
It happens. That's why I tried to make it as easy as possible. But again, there's so many features that are baked in here that it's almost impossible to tell everybody all the details, all the things that I've added over the years. Um, and even more stuff that I've forgotten features that I've added, and I'm like, oh yeah, you could totally do that. Like, here's a great feature that a lot of people probably don't know. I can take this text, I can drag it, and it will create a text for me right on the
Map.
map for me. Where'd it go? There it is.
Oh
It's
wow.
this big long text. Resize it. So there's things like that. Like you can drag text to the map, and it will do
Oh,
that
that's
for you.
cool.
There's things that are just hidden all over the place, and it's not that I try to hide it from people. It's just that you got to go through the patch notes, and the patch notes are long. There's a
Yeah, they
lot of
are.
stuff in there. I mean, this is if you go back to the very beginning, April 2020 was the first release. So,
But that's awesome. I still have a lot to learn on it. I've only spent the time that you actually saw with DM Tales on it because I've been so busy this week. It's not funny.
I totally get it. Oftentimes I feel like I'm working more than two jobs. I also live on a farm, so I go outside and I do a lot of work outside, and
I
I
do
also
too.
work on this, and then I have my normal day job. And there's
Yeah.
some sleep somewhere there, but I don't really think sleep exists.
Somewhere?
I think it's a
Yeah.
fallacy.
That is awesome. Well, I don't think I have any more questions. Does chat have any more questions before we let you go? Because it's definitely over my normal time. I told
I,
you about an hour.
yeah, I really appreciate you, asking me to join you and talk
No,
about this.
thank you for
I'm
coming on.
clearly, as you can tell, I'm super duper passionate about this project. I love doing this. Um, I just wish
Um,
I could do it more.
well, I think that is going to be it for everything. Can you stay online? I want to say goodbye to you.
Yep.
I'm going to quickly say goodbye to everyone, and I'll be right back. All right, so that is Questline. It's pretty awesome. You should go check it out if you haven't. I know Sage just said he did. But yeah, that will be it, folks. This week, there will be no Plague Bound on Sunday because I'll be in Massachusetts at a Ren Fair. And Thursday, uh, I have a um I was gonna do something, but that fell through. Um, and then uh so the next time you'll see me is probably next Monday. I don't think my phone's out downstairs. I think that yeah. So watch the Discord for updates. And yeah, and if you want to play Ironbound, Questline has the dice system right there for you. So bye y'all.